Welcome everybody, welcome to a very interesting video. This video is about fusion energy, the phoenix bird, which is also known as the Bennu bird in ancient Egyptian texts. And it's about a couple of videos, and I'm going to be reading what's in the book here. So recently, I just happened to get out of bed one morning and put on the shirt. Some of you might have seen it in a video I did recently. I was wearing this shirt. That's the Phoenix. That's the Phoenix. And it says 30 seconds to Mars. And that's about how long it would take you to get to Mars in a rocket. Everything's just there on your horizon, arc of horizon within it. And on here it says 30 seconds to Mars is actually a band. But it says here, Provito in Altum. Basically, try and get into space. I think it's in the Iliad somewhere. Someone's mentioned that. But look it up, what that means. And so anyway, I had that on. I had my breakfast and I continue on reading this book here. It's the third time I've read it because I learn something every time. Everything is in this book if you want to know the system, earthly system. The Egyptians have left it all for us. It's actually written very well. It describes everything. It's all in there. I'm going to show you how a character called Herodotus, more than 2,500 years ago, it's actually thousands of years old, this information, knew what they're saying today. And this video was had Neil deGrasse Tyson in it. Let me find it. So I'll go into videos history. So this video here.
But when you control it, then you can throttle it, you can valve it, you can put it where you need to and how you want to use it. And so right at this moment, I don't think people know for sure what the announcement will be. But if the Secretary of Energy is
and just go back a bit.
Break it, and you weigh those two atoms, and they weigh less than what you started with. Quickly after that, we magnified the energy of those bombs by creating a whole other kind of bomb, which came to be known as hydrogen bombs. The hydrogen bombs don't have the radioactive baggage that fission bombs do. Hydrogen bombs are fusion. So fission, let's back up. Fission, you take a big atom, break it, and you weigh those two atoms, and they weigh less than what you started with. Where did the mass go? E equals mc squared. The mass went to energy.
Mass.
You can do the same thing, but coming from the other direction. You take a very light atom, hydrogen, fuse it together with another hydrogen atom, and you get helium. And your product has less mass than you started with. Once again, you get energy, but you don't have all of the byproducts.
Okay, go check that video out.
We made fusion for 60 years. The problem was we don't have control fusion. And we don't have control fusion, it's called a bomb.
It's called Neil deGrasse Tyson shares why fusion discovery could change the future of energy. And then go and check this other video out. A new way to achieve nuclear fusion. Helion. The company's called Helion. This video describes what I've done. I've posted videos on nuclear fusion energy, a year or so ago. It's basically describing the whole model here. I've got it all, and in a lot of my videos I've been talking about the sun being Polaris, because it is Polaris. Not that people can get their head around it. So what are these guys calling their new fission system? Polaris. Fusion. The sun is fusion. Plasma. Okay? Then I'm going to read you what the Egyptians knew thousands of years ago. It's written here, apparently by Herodotus. So we had this video come on the same day. Even mentioned Phoenix in there somewhere. One of those videos. I've got this Phoenix shirt on and I'm reading this flipping book. about the phoenix right there. So here we go. So the Bennu bird, there's the Bennu bird. That's the picture that describes the system, the recycling system of Earth and how the sun is created. I'm going to try and explain it to you. So the sun god and the phoenix. Sacred at Heliopolis, the phoenix was a mythological bird based on the wing tail of the heron. It was specially attached to Ra because it seemed to mimic the sun, rising from the water when it took flight. See, my videos are showing you how there's water around, subterranean water, fresh water that's come from the Arctic, swirling around beneath the ground in the tropical region. It builds up a kinetic energy, and the molecules will rise up into the low pressure system, into the tropical region, and they rise up. That's the two legs, it's the rising up, and as they rise up into the atmosphere, what are they doing? They're expanding. The molecules expand. Then they go through this choke point system. This is actually the Milky Way. That hump there is the back of the sun we see at night. You see the Milky Way, and good cameras, you'll see it in a lot of photography, nighttime photography. The bulge, that's the back of the sun. So this picture is representing the Milky Way, because this Milky Way comes back to the tropics where the expanding molecules are happening. And that's where we see this, our sun, the image of our sun in the tropics. But that's only an image, a reflection of what's happening in here. All the businesses in here, which is back in the central Arctic, above the Arctic, a place we cannot see. We cannot experience because it's creation. We are the created. We can't go back into the creator. So I'll carry on. The phoenix. Its Egyptian name, the phoenix, is Greek, was Bennu, which was derived from the word meaning to shine or to rise. It was depicted with a long feather. It was depicted with two lengthy feathers falling from the back of his head. In the coffin text, the dead person viewed himself as rising like the phoenix. I am the great phoenix that is in Anu, the supervisor of all the existence. Elsewhere, the text associated the bird with Osiris or Horus, since these gods and the bird existed for eternity. In the Book of the Dead, there was a spell for helping the dead become the Bennu bird. I flew up as the primeval god and assumed forms. I am Horus, the god who gives light by means of his body. This is a spiritual story. It's all about spiritual enlightenment, human enlightenment. That's what all the Egyptian information is all about. At the same time, it runs parallel with the Earth's recycling system. So I'll do videos on that later. The most elaborate discussion of the phoenix bird, however, is seen in Herodotus, who had some strange ideas that have become the conventional concept of the bird, even though they do not seem supported by Egyptian texts. This is what he's written here. They have also another sacred bird which, except in a picture, I have never seen. You can't see it. You can't see what's going on in the tropics. It is called the phoenix. It is very uncommon, even among themselves. For according to Heliopolitans, it comes there but once in the course of 500 years. Now, if you've seen my video on phi and Euclidean geometry and all that, how it's related to 5, and how you'll find in your science and maths they relate phi to 500 or 5,000. This is connected to that. But basically it relates to 5. It's a magnetic cycle. You have to check out that video of mine and understand that. It comes there but once in the course of 500 years. Because this is the magnetic cycle of Earth. It comes out of the tropics and does this loop. I'll put a link to that video in this one as well, so you can go check that out. Because it's representing the flow of the electron, basically the magnetic field. Only at the decease of the parent bird. So I've talked about this, it's in the Iliad, where they get destroyed, they expand, get blown apart as they rise up to the tropics, the molecule or the atom. If it bear any resemblance to its picture. The wings are partly of a gold and partly of a crimson colour. He's describing the Milky Way at night there. And its form and size are perfectly like the eagle. So you must just imagine the eagle flying, I guess, and the head and the beak. That's the only way I can see it actually, because that's the Milky Way. It's also described as a crocodile in a lot of texts. They relate one thing about it that surpasses all credibility. They say that it comes from Arabia to the temple of the sun. So Arabia, basically across the desert, I'm saying, that just comes across to the temple of the sun. The magnetic field flows to the tropics. And they should go down through the earth, shoot up like this. So they're meeting here. This is that capacitance plate, what we understand in electronics. So there's a strong magnetic field going on here, okay? But at the same time, you've got to realise that Earth is from the dielectric. So you get a lot of dummies think, well, you know, if I'm talking magnetics, we're going to walk into the tropics and we're going to get pulled up by our Iron Maiden belt muck buckle or something, you know. You have to realise we're from the dielectric, so it doesn't affect us. But because we are the created, we have to imitate creation. So we have our own magnetic system in our created system. So, you know, we all understand magnetism. But the atmosphere's magnetic field isn't going to affect us because that's part of creation. Arabian temple to the sun. Bearing the dead body of its parent. So it's been shredded, okay? Enclosed in myrrh, which it buries. So I'm putting myrrh down to smoke or fumes or fumes, vapor, which it buries. You can't see it. It makes a ball of myrrh shaped like an egg. I've done lots of videos about the cosmic egg. It's where the sun sits. It's a cosmic egg around the black hole. The hole's circular, and the sun creates a yolk which creates like the head of a torso and gives an elliptic shape, an egg shape. As large as it is able to carry. You know, it's tucked into the Milky Way there. Check it out. It's Sagittarius A, okay? It's the back of the sun. Which it proves by experiment. You know, they've got this word experiment. They've done the science way back 1,000 years ago. They knew everything. Nothing's new under the sun, okay? This done, it excavates the mass. Remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about mass? Excavates the mass into which it produces the body of the dead bird. Introduces the body of the dead bird. It again closes the aperture with myrrh, and the whole becomes the same, the whole WH, the whole system, whole becomes the same weight as when composed entirely of myrrh. It then proceeds to Egypt, to the temple of the sun, the dark place, the black hole, into the centre of the Arctic. So what we have here, you've got to imagine the Milky Way is like an umbilical cord, but it flows from the tropical region where the sun is, where we see the sun, over to the Arctic centre, the real sun. And the sun we see moving around, it moves around the Earth in the tropical gap 24/7, 360 degrees, all the time. Just continuously moves. Putting all the fluctuations aside, back in the centre it just turns, but out where we see it, it does a few other things. But as that turns, the magnetic field is rushing to it and spins around it. This is why we see the snake around the sun disk in a lot of Egyptian images on top of their heads, because the magnetic field is swirling around it. It's feeding the sun, basically. You've got to think that the tropical zone sun is a blown up image of what's happening back in creation, but at the same time they're connected. This tropical zone feeds back into the centre. It's the recycling system. It's rebirth. So as the sun moves around, so does the umbilical cord, because it's attached to the sun. It's like a straw back into the milkshake. It's stuck with the sun. So this Milky Way turns as the whole vortex is turning. The sun is turning. Get that? That's why we see the Milky Way come across at night. Curve around like this. At one point it'll be straight, because it'll be over your head. Let's go on. Now, down below is a few more hints. These and other classical myths concerning the bird appear to be misreadings of the Egyptian concept. They're not really. In Egypt, the bird did not achieve immortality through periodic renewal. Describe that. The bird did not achieve immortality through periodic renewal, but it was seen as a symbol of the sun, which did rise, like the bird, each day from the waters to the east. Perhaps the clearest Egyptian use of the bird was in the Book of the Dead, where, as a sign of rebirth, it was beautifully depicted in the vignettes, rebirth, because that's the recycling system. Expansion, going up to the tropics, the molecules expand, get shredded. That's why you get the body of the bird. Then it goes through this choke system, the Milky Way. Now in the nuclear fusion video, they talk of the tight magnetic field, because it has to go through this tight This is the ionization. So as it's going up through the tropics, you've got the magnetic field here, you've got this dielectric area in there. And this is where you get a lot of tropical storms and stuff going on. You get a lot of lightning. This is the ionization that goes on. You'll talk about that in the video, within this magnetic field. And then they choke it, squeeze it into this magnetic field choke point. That's the Milky Way. It's all in the videos. You check them out. So this is what the video is about. It's about how the Egyptians, how we all knew all this stuff thousands of years ago. Nothing's new under the sun. Now they've got videos, they're working on creating a black hole. So, you know, we've Pisces. We've left Pisces, we're into Aquarius now. Okay. So, you know, we're near the end of our cycle. We'll finish back up here at Aries. Did I say Aquarius? Aquarius. But we're going to finish at Aries. I think that's the end of our time, because we're getting to the end. We've got they know the cold fusion now. They're bang on. That truly innovative concept they've got is the true model, because it's in the Earth system. And I've done videos on it. I know it's going to work that way. They've spelt it out. And with the black hole, you know, what's going to happen? We create a black hole and we'll get sucked back in. I don't know. So, yeah, so check out my videos. Some people think I'm wrong. They keep coming back to me saying, I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of these people who watch my videos, they don't say anything, but I'm pretty sure they've taken my information. Most of them are scientists. Sure, you get the idiots who blah, 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 you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, they're just trolls or trying to put you off, or they actually are pretty thick. They don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, if you want to understand everything, get this book. So I think that was all I wanted to say. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the tokamak, whether they can convert it or not. But realise the sun is Polaris. They're going to name their fusion, their next, what do they call it? The next model anyway. Polaris. So, and flat earthers, stop with the stupid model you've got. You've got a model of the flat earth. All you're showing is the northern hemisphere. Where's the southern hemisphere? You have to have the dual system, the two rotations. And the two rotations don't overlap and form a flippin' the flower of life symbol like some video I saw. They do not. They're separated by the tropical gap. What happens here happens out here on man's arc of horizon. That's what he'll see in his horizon. He doesn't see this guy's horizon over here where he's seeing the rotation as well, because it's all coming from the centre. Everybody out there has their rotation in their arc of horizon. This is what creates everything, makes everything fall down like this, because it's all the hemisphere. This is all about celestial navigation, Euclidean geometry. But you've got to stop and get the new model. It's a dual system. Get your motion, that's your northern hemisphere going on. Yeah, you're right. But the tropical gap is where the sun and everything moves around. The tropical gap. And then you've got to have the opposite turning motion. What spirals out of the north in a Fibonacci spirals out of the south in the Fibonacci. It's mirrored. I've got the whole model. If you want to ask questions, ask questions. Mind you, I'm being shadow banned. Like Elon says, free speech is not free reach. I'm shut down in every which way. Like Rumble, I want to go. They let me connect all their sites, but they don't let me do anything. You have to go and do something. They want your all your information again. So you put in your email. Oh, incorrect. No, it's not incorrect. They just shut you down. They don't want you moving forward. So, understanding our flat earth system, the central vortex above the Arctic that we do not see is the place that's beyond the vent horizon. Because we're out here in the apple, not where the stem comes out. That's where all creation is. And it's all blown out into our realm. But you have to start understanding that tropical gap and the two systems. Like this. This is why we'd see two star rotations. It's like that. We see them in the sky like that, but really it's like this. This is flat in the north. This is curved, convex. We'll get this image out here. Parabolic image. The rotations. It's this way. As this goes around this way, this is going like this. Everybody's getting a picture reflected from the centre out to the southern hemisphere. So we all get a night vision of because it's centred off the Polaris here, centred to Sigma Octantis. That's your now north to south meridian. Everybody gets one. Because south is all the way around. Lots of rotations happening here. But you only see one in your arc of horizon. So it's fixed, a star trail rotation. But if you track a star in there, you'll see it's wandering this way because the whole thing does wander all the way around. So, that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget, put a likes up because it's getting out there. If you get more likes, apparently it gets out there. Okay? Cheers.